Okay, so I don't know if this is an example of how words have power, but I think it's a pretty good case for it. So I literally just found out today that my name, the Deven, not to be confused with the On or the In, which is how my name is spelled. And it was my dad's idea to name me, from the whole name, Devin Paul Long, which that's a whole thing of itself. But just with my first name, it ties back to India. Now, this is really, really, really trippy because I don't know squat about any of this. And aside from having a unibrow and chops, me and this dude are pretty doggone similar, considering the fact that I too dual wield blades. But when you actually read into it, it is quite interesting because the obsessions that I have always had are pretty doggone in alignment with this dude. Check it. So anybody who really, really knows me knows this. Hold on. So it goes, let's see, this dude was like a primary guide. I don't really get into all this stuff because basically it's like a story of Risha Mugdala. You know, it talks about how he lives a simple life and in the swarga of a Hindu paradise, and that at some point he refuses the comforts of the world and decides to find a new Indra, a new place of rest, I guess. I don't know exactly what it means. This is my first time reading about it, but I'm probably gonna look into it. But anyways, he just finds a greater presence of a greater swarga, whatever. And so basically the moral of his story is that he greater than the heaven, it says right here, greater than the heaven of material pleasures was the heaven of spiritual liberation. So there's that. But then when it gets to the Indra, or who the Indra was, it says that the Indra, the great warrior who rode a chariot. Now, I mean, I don't like horses. I hate horses. But it says, struck down his enemies such as Vitra, and all these people, right? And something about, who released cows from dark caves, was adored by all. All right, so apparently Idra was adored by all, right? But it's the stuff about the dude that's really, really interesting, because it's talking about in the Puranas, Idra is a thunderbolt wielding storm god. Now, I have had an obsession with thunderbolts. I've had Thunderbolt as my tag, Mr. Lightning Bolt as my tag on my, and I came up with this stuff on my own. Like, nobody talked me into this. These are just things I came up with on my own growing up as a young, troubled young man. But these are things that I all came up with on my own. So like my email is Mr. Lightning Bolt. I've had an obsession with lightning bolts for ever, lightning, rain. I'm always looking at the sky. I've been looking at the sky since I was like 4. I can't, I'm just fascinated by it. I just sit up and even when I'm like walking to my car on my way to work, or just standing outside, I'm just staring up at the sky like an idiot. I do it all the damn time. Can't help it. Anyways, it says, who leads divas. I got a skillful tongue, I ain't gonna lie. It says, and behaves like an entitled. Yes, I can be extremely entitled when I'm deep into my shadow spirit and I'm not giving a damn about living right for God. Yes, I could be an entitled jerk. I know I can be. Let's see, perennially insecure hedonist. Yes, most definitely. When I read this, I was like, this is my darker me. So I've just been introduced to my darker me.
The cool thing about my dad is that he was always kind of like trying to teach me things and stuff like that. And even in my name, originally my dad told me that my name, he named me after Dallas. He named me after an old Dallas electric company called Dallas Power and Light. But the more I look into my name and the more I study it, Devin is Sanskrit. I was always wondering why I had a hard time finding my name, but it's because it's Sanskrit and it's in Indian. It means a whole bunch of different stuff, but like the meanings to it, if you associate what Paul means, which is humble or small, it just means tall, humble for God, backwards, or tall, humble God, or tall, humble devil, which is interesting because it could be all three at the same time. Like my dad he was a genius when it came to the faith and love of God, and he was always trying to teach me about liberty in Christ before he died, and I wished I had listened to him, but I got it now. Thanks, Dad. Swords was always my thing. I don't know why I was obsessed with swords, but I was always obsessed with them. And I'm 100% self-taught. Like Fred, he only taught me how to do the basic strike for the 1,000 cuts. That was it. That's all he taught me. Everything else I learned on my own, from constant practice, constant study, constantly sharpening my skills, watching old tapes, old videos, hours upon hours of practice, because I was depressed and I hated life, and so it was something that gave me purpose and focus, and it made me feel strong, and I was ridiculously good, and I'm 10 times better now than I've ever been. In fact, I'm so good that I can dual wield blades now, like somebody else I just showed you. Like, my sword skills are insane, and I'm 100% self-taught, and I study and I train all the time, damn near every day, and sometimes Lily gets on my case because I won't stop. Like, once I start and I pick up a sword or a baton or a scythe or pretty much any kind of weapon, I can't put it down. That's the reason why I have obsessions with knives. Can't help it.
I don't think it's that important.
Shapes our reality, and it's this I want to put to the test. This experiment will show that thoughts are vibrations and have different frequencies, and thus affect our circumstances. The late researcher Dr. Masaru Emoto conducted a study lasting many years to see if human consciousness can affect the molecular structure of water. In his research, he exposed water to different words, pictures, and songs, and then froze the water to examine it with microscopic photography. The water exposed to positive speech and thoughts resulted in beautiful crystal formations, and the water exposed to negative speech and thoughts gave ugly crystal formations. Granted, his research has been criticized for both right and wrong reasons. Personally, I keep an open mind. The rice experiment I'm about to try, it's not a very scientific approach, obviously, and it doesn't really prove anything, but it's a very interesting experiment nonetheless, and it seems to be working every single time. Since rice absorbs water when you cook it, you can basically conduct the same research Dr. Masaru did. I approached the experiment by purchasing 3 brand new glass containers. I cooked some rice and added the exact same amount of rice in each container. And every day for about 2 months, I'd spend 60 seconds per container telling them either negative or positive things. The container marked love, I'd say nice things such as, "You're awesome," and "I love you." And to the container marked hate, I'd say horrible things such as, "You don't deserve to live," and "You make me sick," and "Go and kill yourself." And the container marked ignore, I do just that. It's been about 9 weeks now, and it's finally over. And I'm happy to tell you that it's a success. Alright? And this is what happened.
God will not be mocked.
Alright, so the container marked with love it's in quite good shape. It's a little yellow, but I'd probably eat it. Alright. And the container marked hate it's in bad shape. Alright, this is quite disgusting. There's no way I would even touch this. The container marked ignore it's in better shape than the container marked hate, but it's still quite disgusting. It's actually quite surprising because I thought that the container marked ignore would be in the worst shape of all. But for some reason, it's not. You know, I've seen people doing this experiment and the container marked ignore would always, in most cases, be the one in the worst shape. This experiment, it just proves to me that our thoughts is not just an interior force, but also an exterior force, which means that our thoughts gives out some kind of energy, you know, vibrations when we think about something, and it goes outwards. Now, you might think that there's room for coincidence, but this works every time. If you want to try it yourself and narrow down your odds, try using 25 containers or even 50 containers. This works, and it shows that our thoughts literally shapes our life. It all starts in your mind. What you think and feel.
He leaves.
Mukataka! What's up? I never yielded! And as you can see, I am not dead!